Trusted American's salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payments. Go to trustedamerican.com to see how much they can save you today. That's trustedamerican.com.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to Off Field. I am your host, Liv Moots. Wait, no, I'm still not Liv Moots. I'm Brandon Krisztal. He's Nate Jackson.
No, I'm Brandon Krisztal.
No, you're Brandon.
I'm Brandon Krisztal. No, wait, hold on. I'm Brandon Krisztal.
Nailed it. BK, Nate here, talking all things Broncos, maybe a little other couple things from the world of football. But the Broncos on a short week got everything done yesterday, Nate. On the practice field, they were in not even shells. They were in different jerseys, even almost like the jerseys you wear. You know when they do the community events, and they wear the jersey with it. That's what they looked like. And so they get out there, quick hour and a half work. It was earlier than they've started their media just about all year, and they've actually been doing a better job. Last year, Sean Payton notoriously would say, whatever media starts at 2:15, practice would go a little longer, almost every day. This year they've been almost on time, and the last couple of weeks it's been like media 2:45, bam, hit.
Wow.
Yesterday was like 2:43. What did you like about a short game, a Thursday night turnaround, and what did you hate about it? Because I know you didn't play in too many.
Yeah, I played in one. I think I only played in one. No, I played in a couple. I played in a couple because I played in a couple Thanksgiving games.
Dallas,
yeah. Yeah, Dallas, and the following year in Kansas City, that Jake Plummer's last start.
Right.
We heard going into that game, if we lost it, he was going to get benched. We were 7-3 at the time. 7-3, pretty good record. You wouldn't think the quarterback would be in jeopardy of losing his position, although Justin Fields might say otherwise, right?
Right. You
can't have a winning team but not be satisfied with the quarterback play. However, Thursday game, yeah, I liked it. You know why? Because it's a short week. It's not a lot. It's not as much sitting in meetings. It's not as much practice time. You know what sucks? Football practice sucks. Football practice is not fun at all. You got to beat each other up. You got to sit in 4 hours of meetings every day. Thursday condenses that, and I really enjoyed that process. Also, not going to be an overly complicated game plan. You're just going to kind of go out there and play. Of course, the Broncos came off a bye the previous week, so I imagine Sean Payton and his staff spent some of that time preparing for this game, right? Creating a game plan. But you also don't want to overload your players with a bunch of mental stuff on a week where really you're trying to recover physically. You're going on the road on this short week. And so I like the fact that they kept it snappy, kept it light, probably not very physical. Coming off a game, these guys are still sore, and they get to go pin their ears back tomorrow.
And then they're going to get a little mini bye. We found out officially yesterday they are playing on the Saturday slate of games, those 3 games on the 28th. We know that's when the bowl season goes. Busy day for football fans. You've got CSU and their bowl game kicking off at the exact same time as the Broncos and Bengals on the 28th.
Why would the scheduling gods do that?
Well, then when the Broncos end, guess what? Your CU Buffs in the Alamo Bowl at 5:30. So you can go double screen for all the Rams fans out there watching Rammies and Broncos, and then go right into Buffs right after that and see what Shador and Travis do in their final game in Buffs black and gold. But because we only had the one day and everything, coordinators talk and Bo Nix talks. We didn't talk to PS2. He did have a charity thing on Monday, so we spoke a little bit. Full participant both days. And as I heard somebody point out, and I saw Pat walk by and talk to some people close to him about his low ankle sprain. And if you play enough basketball, you're going to do that plenty. But no boot, no extra treatment. So you felt good when he's leaving the game knowing, okay, he's not in a walking boot. It didn't take him an hour to come out. Probably just a little roll.
Yeah, low ankle sprain. You just tape that thing up, man. You just tape it up. You take your anti-inflammatories, maybe a Toradol shot, which those guys are still doing.
Yeah.
And I did that pretty much every game, before every game in the last couple of years of my career when you have an injury or you're just getting old and it's hard to get out of bed that morning. Toradol helps you. It's a really powerful anti-inflammatory. And then the adrenaline of the moment. You're on national TV. This is the final push for this team. It's not going to be hard for Patrick Surtain to get up for this game. You wrap that ankle up, and then you spat the ankle. Spat is something that I love to do. It's tape over the top of the shoe, kind of creates some even more support. So the modern medical kind of process to masking the severity of a low ankle injury, pretty effective. And these guys Patrick Surtain in particular will be fine.
Yeah. It's also not basketball. I understand that the movements are different, but between the tape inside the sock and then any outer tape plus the spat, he'll be fine. Spats in certain uniforms can look super awesome. And with black cleats, I think, or dark cleats can look especially cool.
I love the spat. The spat was so cool. When I was in college, I played for Menlo College, a Division III school. We did not have a huge budget for tape, so they wouldn't even give me the tape to spat. I had to steal the tape, or I had to have one of our equipment manager assistants steal me the tape, put it outside in the bush, and then I would go get it, and my teammate would spat me up.
Well, that's a good teammate.
Yeah.
So because they did everything yesterday, we missed the chance to talk to more players. You got Bo Nix, you got Cortland. PS2 skipped his weekly press conference. The coordinators were off to the side at the same time. But then we find out today, Marvin Mims, Jr., Special Teams Player of the Week. We didn't get to talk to Marvin Mims. Second time in his career that he has received those honors. He's the 6th Broncos player to receive Player of the Week, plus Pat getting AFC Defensive Player of the Month. Bo Nix has gotten Rookie of the Month. The Broncos, when you're a good team, and at 9-5, you're a good team. You get lots of accolades. But I wanted to throw a clip real quick that I'm not sure everybody saw post-game. Marvin Mims in the locker room was asked about the punt return and what makes kind of him so good at seeing what opportunities there are once he receives that punt.
I think it's a lot of instinct. You know, we have a direction for the return every time we go up there, but in some ways, sometimes I don't go that direction. Other times it's just a lot of just instinct. Like I said, I mean, those guys don't block it up however, and then today I think we're just really big in the second act of the punt return game.
Mark, do you think Drew was like kind of trying to get a read of where you were trying to go, or what happened?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Like, just like I kind of said, like punt returns. I mean, we're supposed to go left, we're supposed to go right. You never know where I'm gonna go. So I was just pointing to him like, "Hey, we're good. Go get the block." But no, it's happy. I'm happy for Drew, especially known him since high school. For him to be back on the field, I mean, it was really cool for me.
Sean talked about that being such a big momentum shift. Can you feel that, and also do you have that excitement when games are close, knowing that, hey, I can break one here and this is going to turn the tide?
Yeah, for sure. I think with punt return, we know how good we are, how we're in the top of the league at it, you know, and we have a lot of confidence in that unit. And just to be able to get an opportunity, I mean, it goes good for us almost every time. So, I mean, those guys are really into it. You know, they clean it up for me a lot. So all I do is just make a play.
That was a familiar voice I heard in there asking him a question.
Well, and that's what my voice normally sounds like.
Yeah.
And that was just 3 days ago.
You're warming up right now.
We're getting closer. So he becomes the 5th Broncos returner to receive this honor twice. He got it last year in Week 10 as a rookie. We know he went to the Pro Bowl last year. This year feels like Pro Bowl is almost a certainty with them being the top punt returning team in the league. 15.7 yards per return. We know that on average, the NFL is about 9 yards a return, 8 or 9 yards. Well, they're averaging almost a full first down past that.
Yeah.
When you get to 16 yards, if it's 8 or 9, and you're doubling that, it's a hell of a weapon. And I just go back to the people that wanted to have him cut because his receiving stuff didn't really make sense in training camp.
Nobody wanted him cut.
There were promos of very good friends of ours, and I give them a hard time in the press box still.
Yeah.
And
well, look, Marvin Mims, Sean Payton just had to figure out how to use him, and he's still figuring it out. I mean, he put him in the backfield last game. That didn't really work out there, but he made a huge difference returning the ball. But when you see a guy returning the ball like Marvin Mims, and he's rightly getting his flowers, but it's not just about Marvin, is it? I mean, he mentioned Drew Sanders there and the job he's doing blocking. I think on that long one, JL Skinner had like 3 or 4 blocks. Yeah. I was on those units, punt return, kickoff return. The punt play, whether you're on punt or punt return, is the most complex play in football because there's 2 parts to it. There aren't 2 parts to any other plays. The first is the protection or the rush if you're on punt return, and the second is the return. Or if you are covering the punt, the second is the coverage. That's why they practice punt so much, and they practice punt and punt return so much. And as a punt return guy, not the guy catching the ball, but a guy blocking, you have a specific man you got to block on that play, whether it's a right return, a left return, a middle, whatever they're doing. You know who it is, and it's not easy to block that guy because he knows you're blocking him. So first of all, I'm trying to pretend I'm rushing the ball, trying to block the punt. That's my first order of business. Make you think then I'm trying to block the punt. So you actually have to block me, that you can't just release and go make the tackle. So there's some acting involved on my part. When I'm coming off the ball, I'm trying to bend and get into you and make you think you got to block me. And then once we make contact, then I put my hands on you. Then I put my hands on you, and then I don't let go. Okay, and now it's up to me to run all the way down the field with you. And you're a great athlete too, Brandon Krisztal.
So everyone says.
Yeah, so you're gonna give me a fight, and sometimes you get free. And so there's an art to how long I can hold on to you, and how I get back in front of you, and at what point I let you go and look for someone else. There's an art to it, and these guys are clearly moving as one unit. The 15 yards per return
Almost 16
is an indication of that. And so it's just not Marvin Mims, who, by the way, is playing phenomenal. It's every swinging dick on that field doing their job, and that's what's resulting in these big returns.
And he was quick to credit in that sound there that you heard him say that that's one of our strengths, is that unit, and not just me as a returner. Our pal Liv,
Hey,
on our way back from Cali.
Are you on
hanging
the
with
airplane?
Debo. She says, "Hey teammates, miss you. We miss you, Liv. We wish that you were right here
Yeah.
in between us,
Right here.
or in either of these chairs. Regardless, we miss you, but we know you'll be ready to rock and roll Friday, as well as tomorrow with our post-game coverage, mega post-game coverage of Broncos, Nuggets, Avs. It's going to be a big, big night. But you've played with a bunch of different returners. I believe you were with Eddie Royal his rookie year. When he had a million catches. He had one of the best rookie seasons really in NFL history, not just Broncos history. I think did he have 91 catches as a rookie?
Don't remember how many
regardless,
catches.
but he was a really good returner.
Yeah.
And not knowing the returners that you had every year, when you get someone that you can tell is more dynamic as a returner, that's got to give you a little more juice as part of the return unit whenever you've had, because I'm sure every year they weren't all top notch, like Marvin Mims level, Pro Bowl level returners. Like, could you sense that, oh, okay, he'll catch it and we'll get to 8 or 9 yards versus this guy might break it at any time?
Yeah, Eddie was one of those dynamic returners. Darrent Williams had some really dynamic returns for a while there. And so you love to play and block for a guy like that. But you also believe in the ability of all these guys to be able to bust a punt return. I don't know if you remember, Charlie Adams was a punt returner for a while, had some very dynamic punt returns for us. Rod Smith used to return punts, which is rare now. You don't see, your starting wide receiver, number one wide receiver doing that anymore. At least I can't think of any teams in which that happens anymore.
No, the last that I really remember, and maybe they'll stick like Amon-Ra St. Brown every now, but it's Tyreek Hill a few years ago with Kansas City. They'd be like, you know what? And maybe he's done it in Miami a little, but in Kansas City when Tyreek Hill was at the top of his powers, which has still been plenty in recent years too, they throw him back there, including against the Broncos. Like, all right. But in general, you're not putting Devontae Adams back. You're not putting your top receivers. I mentioned Amon-Ra. Justin Jefferson's not returning punts. Jamar Chase isn't returning punts, although they would be. You got to think.
Oh, they'd be amazing. When I was a receiver, I was a receiver for 2 years, tight end for 4. But as a receiver, I did a lot of special team stuff that kind of receivers do. I was an up back on the kickoffs, returns, and sometimes I caught kickoffs in practice. I was in that line, but I never did it during a game. I caught punts in practice, never did it during a game. But one game before the game started, Mike Shanahan came up to me in warm-ups and said, "Nate, you're going to need to return kicks today. Rod's not going to be able to go." I'm like, all right, cool, man. Haven't done it in high school. Didn't do it in college. Haven't ever done it in the pros. But sure, I'll take my first ever punt return in an NFL game.
You did it in junior high? Did you do it in junior high?
No, I didn't play football in junior high.
So you had never?
I had
in your
never
entire life.
in my life returned a punt in a game. And Mike Shanahan's asking me in warm-ups, "Are you ready to go?" Because Rod can't go.
How many other players had returned kicks in their
He
life?
saw the look in my eyes, Brandon, and he knew that I was going to be the guy who's going to secure the ball.
Okay.
Because what he wanted was someone who's going to catch the freaking ball.
Home game.
It was a home game.
So odds are
Catch the ball. The number one thing he wanted was just catch it. You don't have to return it.
punt return, kick return.
Punt return.
Oh, punt return.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
We need a sure-handed guy back there. And there was no more sure hands on the team than the ones you're looking at right now.
You didn't have Champ Bailey yet. You did have Champ Bailey? Maybe you didn't.
This was 2000. He was 3 or 4, and he came here in 4.
So maybe it was 3.
Well, I got better hands than Champ. Okay.
That's what everyone says.
Okay. I got better hands than
When I
Champ.
watch him return punts at Georgia, I'm like, oh, you know what? Nate would have been better than that.
Look, I'm not saying I'm a more dynamic athlete. I guarantee I'm a faster swimmer than Champ,
Damn straight.
which means I am a better athlete because like
That's
90% of the world is covered by water or whatever it is. And if you can't get in the water and swim, are you really an athlete? I digress. Look,
All you non-swimmers out there, you're unathletic.
but moral of the story is Rod ended up being okay. He was okay to go, and I didn't have to do that. But I was ready, and it was a nerve-wracking next 30 minutes until Rod was like, "Coach, I got this. I'm going to be fine." And he went out there and returned the ball. But
That was so crazy that Rod was your punt returner.
yeah, he was very good at it because he had really good vision. Not the fastest guy, but he knew how to get north and south. And really, Rod was so good at catching the ball, even as a receiver, catching the ball, turning and getting north and south. And so much of being a punt returner is understanding where those lanes are and hitting them. And Marvin Mims is able to do that, and he's looked like a ballerina out there, in the way that he's avoided tackles and hit it up the sideline. But a huge credit to that punt return unit who's creating those lanes.
Yeah, there's a certain inherent vision, and I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about what returners see. Although I was the up back in high school, we had 2 punt returners. I was the one 10 yards. In
So you've
front.
done this. So you would have been a better
caught
returner that day.
I caught a couple. When Mike used to kick towards the building, I'd catch the ball all the time. I'd practice. I'd stay there.
You and the
Yeah.
muggles running after it.
No, most people were getting out of the way because they're
Yeah.
unathletic. I was like, I'm going to catch it.
Yeah.
But I remember, and I'm not trying to pour any salt in the wounds, but I covered Dante Hall in 2003 when he had one of the most dynamic returns in the history of the NFL against you guys.
Yeah.
I want to say that game was at Arrowhead.
Oh, it was at Arrowhead.
And there might have been a clip or 2, but they didn't call it.
There was like 5 clips in that game.
There were
5 blocks in the
somewhere
back.
between 0 or 5 clips,
Yeah.
but they weren't called.
That was the loudest Arrowhead's ever been.
And we had the Dante Hall show on the station I worked at there, and so we had Dante in all the time. And I remember just talking about seeing, what the special returners, Devin Hester, Dion, we can go down the list, but guys like Marvin Mims, they see the field differently, just like Nikola Jokic, Magic Johnson, LeBron James, Steve Nash, those guys, John Stockton, they see the basketball court differently than 95 to 98% of the players.
Yeah.
And so it's a really special trade. I didn't know we'd do 15 minutes on Marvin Mims, but when you're the best in the league at something, and for the second straight year, there's almost no reason to think he will not be back in the Pro Bowl games. We know it's not a Pro Bowl game.
Yeah.
And that's a big time weapon. So when you look at this matchup, let's look ahead to this game. We know how well LA ran the ball coming in.
Yeah.
Their offenses just kind of slowed down across the board. They're 25th in passing, which is crazy because Justin Herbert looked like Justin Herbert in that game here, especially on third down. But now they're 21st in the league on third down. And so they're 21st in points per game. They're 22nd rushing the ball, even though they're really good running the ball, and 25th in passing, 27th in yards per game. They've clearly slowed down.
What accounts for that? Is some injuries they've dealt with, of course, but who hasn't?
Right, but they're not as banged up as they have been in years past, right? How many times do you remember Mike Williams not being available?
Yeah.
The years they didn't have Keenan Allen. That O-line, I remember talking to Melvin Gordon, and I know it's not a Jim Harbaugh team, but Melvin Gordon said he played behind a different O-line almost every week. It's not that bad for their offense. Lad McConkey's been there. The Johnson kid's been there. I think it's just, I don't know if it's philosophical. It's that Greg Roman's offense and what they're asking Justin Herbert to do in it versus what, say, Lamar Jackson or Colin Kaepernick did in it. It's because when we saw it here, like, this is exactly what scares you.
Yeah.
Good run game. Star quarterback on third down is just going to pick you apart. Because wasn't he like 11?
Isn't J.K. Dobbins hurt, though?
That could be.
Yeah, he was their guy.
Yeah, he's still their leading rusher at 766. But and I can double check the injury report. And so that probably accounts for it to some degree. But either way, as dominant as they looked in the first 3 quarters here, I don't think they looked. They just got beat 40-17.
Yeah,
that kind of got away from them at the end.
Demoralizing
the
too.
Bucs go to LA, and we'll get into the lack of home field here in a second. But you got to feel a lot better about the way the Broncos are playing. And when you bring up this matchup page too, the Broncos are still top 5 or top 10 in every defensive category, and in offensive categories, they're 10th in points per game now. Top 10 offense scoring.
Broncos.
That's what Sean Payton has had, so many, that 24 points a game. And I know,
but you get to count those pick sixes, right?
I think so, because it just counts points per game. But either way, you got to feel good about 24 points per game, something that we haven't seen for the Broncos since Peyton Manning was here.
Yeah, so regardless of where these teams are ranked in the league, the Broncos' memory of the Chargers is of them coming in here and whooping up on them, right? And so they've got something for the Chargers, and the Chargers are faltering at the right time for the Broncos to try to get some comeuppance. These Broncos are surging. They're believing in themselves. At the same time, this running game has to be better for the Broncos, I think, to control this game and the type of style that the Chargers are going to want to win with, which is the same way they did it here. Just because they are faltering and not, not converting on third down, not throwing the ball well, their philosophy on how to beat the Broncos is still going to be the same way. They're going to want to come in here and control the clock by ground and pound. They're going to want to bully the Broncos. They're going to want to fire off an attack on the offensive line. And so it's up to the Broncos to stifle them on first down and bring up some second and long, third and long situations so they can get after the quarterback. But, Jim Harbaugh, this is his first year coaching the NFL in quite a while. He's been in college. By now, the college season's over, except for the bowl game you're preparing for. Maybe old Jim's getting a little tired, man. Maybe he burned out a little bit. Who's got it better than us?
Well, nobody.
No,
Somebody?
nobody, because we're getting tired, Coach.
Yeah, he's a little tired.
But, I give the coaching advantage in this game to the Broncos because Sean Payton has done this in the NFL a lot longer than Jim Harbaugh has. Jim Harbaugh, an incredible coach, okay? I kind of poo-pooed his arrival in L.A., and I didn't think the Chargers would be very good. They've surpassed my expectations. I think he's done a good job coming in and getting Justin Herbert to settle down and, taking some pressure off of him. They added some offensive line pieces and all that, but he still doesn't have a lot of weapons to throw to. And, in fact, Keenan Allen and Michael,
Williams.
They're gone. Lad McConkey is a rookie, and he's his favorite target. And the other guy, Quentin Johnson, doesn't catch the ball well. He's kind of a lot like Jerry Jeudy, right?
Right.
Like a lot of talent. First-round draft pick, can't count on him when the chips are down. So I think it's a real good opportunity for the Broncos to go plant their flag and really create some distance there.
Justin Herbert, guess how many passing yards he has? I don't know if you looked at this.
2,400?
2959. Guess how many Bo Nix has?
2960.
2972.
Yeah, Bo Nix, clearly a better
He's
and
a better
more
passer
generational
than
talent.
Better
than
Oregon
Justin.
better Oregon quarterback. Better.
Justin Herbert made some really nice throws in that game when he was here.
He looked like the Justin Herbert that we've seen beat the Broncos plenty or play well even in losses against them.
He's got an elite, top 5 NFL arm. The problem is that's not enough, and does Justin Herbert have the late season killer instinct to deliver his team to big wins when it matters most? And I haven't seen that from Justin Herbert ever in his career. He hasn't been a guy who takes the team on his back and wills them to a big victory. And it seems like he falters at the end of the season or wilts when it matters most. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen tomorrow night, but I sure as hell hope so.
Yeah, and Broncos country does as well. If the Broncos win, they're in the playoffs. And so Bo Nix
so it's automatic. They win, they're in?
They win, and they're in. 10 wins gets you in this year. If they get to 10, they are in. And so a win tomorrow would be huge. Bo Nix was just asked about the importance of this, and I want to make sure that everybody's paying attention because what he says at the end has to put smiles on Broncos fans' faces.
And what I'm learning is in the league, you're playing against the expert of, the defense. So they study and they're preparing and they're doing the same things that I'm doing. So, for example, like in the first one, Mike Linebacker did a great job of, he started to carry the vertical and he fell off on the in cut. And we talk about it all the time, but it's different when you see that for the first time. So there's a level of anticipation that you got to be a little bit careful of and be wary of, and then also not be late. So there's a good happy medium there. But it's the things that I see on film. It's the things that, I've noticed and picked up that, it's a part of the NFL that, that's going to continue to, get used to. And that's the exciting part of it is I got, a long road ahead of me. And so it's fun to keep up with these veterans and go out there and play to their strengths. And so that's kind of what we're working for and, excited to grow from, last game. And there's a lot that we can grow from. So that's the good thing about football.
You got 3 games to win 1. But that's not the way you want to look at it, right?
Yeah, we got 3 games to win 3 and go into the playoffs and win a Super Bowl. Thank you.
Hey, there you go, Bo.
You're not the only person in town saying the Broncos can win the Super Bowl. Bo Nix asked by Mike Kliss, you got 3 games to win 1. Nope, we've got 3 games to win 3, go to the playoffs and go win the Super Bowl.
That has to be the mentality. And it is with athletes and inside that locker room. You don't think, hey, man, let's hopefully win 1 out of these next 3, guys. That would be great. Then we'd get in, back our way into the playoffs and maybe get a favorable seed. No, these guys want to win 3 straight, okay, end up 12-5, and maybe the 5th seed, and then go play Houston. And that path gets a lot easier. But it doesn't matter who we play. This is what Sean Payton's got to tell these guys. It doesn't matter who we freaking play. We're going to go win. We plan to win. We prepare to win. We expect to win. And the good thing about this young team, and that young quarterback in particular, is he believes he's going to win these games. His competitiveness is rubbing off on everyone else. And it's great to have a leader like that at such a young age in that locker room who keeps that in perspective. But outside in the media, we're talking about what it's going to take to secure a playoff spot. Inside of that locker room, they're talking about running the table and not losing another game. That's 6 more games, right? 7, actually, if you count, the Super Bowl itself, right?
7 straight.
7 straight games starting tomorrow night, and they'll be hosting that Lombardi Trophy at the end of it.
Can they go 7-0? Well, I guess we'll find out. The Chargers forever called a stadium that was called Jack Murphy, which was pretty cool, named after a sports writer. Imagine
Brandon Krisztal.
Woody Page Stadium, Brandon Krisztal Stadium, Nate Jackson Stadium. I mean, you're a New York Times bestselling author.
That's right.
But they now have a new home that Stan Kroenke, I don't think he financed. I think he just paid for it. And SoFi, it sounds like finance has to do with student loan repayment. That's their main sponsor. So that's their new home. Speaking of homes, though, how would you like to get through the holidays without having to make your mortgage payment? Well, you can go to trustedamerican.com to see how they can help you refinance your home and not have to make any payments until February, depending on how you want to say it. Trusted Americans, salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payments. Right now, they will cover your closing costs. That is of your appraisal, or the cost of your appraisal. I'm sorry, not your closing costs. Cost of your appraisal, it's about a $650 value. So go to trustedamerican.com or the QR code that you sometimes see on some of our shows. You can go to the QR code, but also trustedamerican.com is always easy. We'll leave it up here, though, for you. This QR code up that way. Trustedamerican.com. You can see how much money you can save today. Thanks to our friends at trustedamerican.com, who also are our great studio sponsors here in the Trusted American Mortgage Studio. All right, so I talked about the new home. It is far from the friendly confines there in LA. If we're going to rank popular teams in Los Angeles, and you've lived in SoCal, and you've got plenty of friends from Southern California, you grew up in Northern California, the number 1 team in Southern California is the Los Angeles Raiders, now the Vegas Raiders.
Oh, you're talking about football.
Football.
Oh,
it's Lakers
Dodgers.
Yeah. USC. Probably.
Yeah.
UCLA Hoops.
Cowboys.
So Lakers are 1, or I'm sorry, Raiders are 1.
Yeah.
Niners, I think, are 2. And every time the Niners come down to play the Rams, it looks like Levi Stadium mostly. Cowboys, I think, are 3. And then maybe Rams 4. Chargers aren't even 5th. Chargers are behind definitely the Broncos, definitely the Packers. The Patriots have 1 million fans out there, it seems like, and probably the Steelers too. There are no Chargers fans left hardly at all unless your family or friends work for the team. It is unbelievable how little people care about the Chargers in LA. So much so that when the Broncos go there, it's a home game. And you see that orange. It's bold anyway. I'm sure you saw it all the years you played there, even when they were back in the Phillip Rivers days. And
this was
LT.
when it was in San Diego at Qualcomm Stadium. And then there were some Chargers fans in San Diego out there. You didn't see a lot of them. I mean, it wasn't a football town. San Diego, the Whales of JJ. It's not a football town, right? It's the beach.
It's Ron Burgundy's town.
Exactly. But when they made the move to LA, you left a lot of those fans behind. And like you said, LA is not a football town. It's just not. It's the Lakers, it's the Dodgers, and if it is football, it's transplants who are there supporting a different team.
Yeah, it's a plenty big NFL town. It's the second biggest city in America, but it's not. Oh, this is our team.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not Broncos country.
No, and then SoFi Stadium, which is the new Disneyland, the new stadium with all the bells and whistles, a $5 billion stadium, if I'm correct. So the prices are super high, and it's a weird experience. If you're a true football fan, you're not going to SoFi. You're not going to Allegiant. Those are destinations, and the price of the ticket, the bells and the whistles, it's this modern football experience that a lot of the old school fans don't really get down with, and so you've lost even more there. And so the Broncos are going to have a situation that's very favorable to them. They're going to be able to work their snap count on the road in a 2-minute drill and not have to worry about the noise drowning out. I don't think Sean Payton worked any crowd noise during practice,
No,
like
I
you
think-
would if you're going to Arrowhead or if you're going to one of these other teams. So it actually makes the preparation a little bit easier. Not just the fact that you're going to go up and see, you're going to go there and see Broncos fans, but also it's not going to be so loud that you can't communicate, which is oftentimes one of the most difficult parts about playing on the road.
What's crazy about the Chargers, and we're going to hear from Sean Payton right now, and we just had a comment up that said it's definitely a home game for us, no question. We're going to hear from Sean Payton and Cortland Sutton yesterday because Sean went there as a fan a couple of years ago. But I think he even references in this clip that the home team has to go on a silent count because the visiting fans can be so loud, as crazy as that is. So yesterday, both Sean Payton and Cortland Sutton were talking about how Broncos country infiltrates and makes SoFi a home game when they play the Chargers.
The very first time I was ever at this stadium, I told you guys this already. I think it was Sunday Night Football. Broncos Chargers went into overtime, if I'm not mistaken, and I couldn't get over. 2/3 of the stadium were Denver fans. And so I know we'll travel well Thursday, going to LA. That was the first time I was ever at SoFi. So, look, so the focus really is on us, and obviously it's a division opponent, and we have great respect for them. But the focus is on our preparation and attention to detail.
It's really nice to be able. I feel like since I've been in the league, whether we were playing in the soccer field that they were kind of using as their home field, or when they got the new stadium at SoFi, Broncos country always shows up, and I would say outnumbers them. And it's really cool once we get at certain points in the game, you start hearing the Go Bronco chants. It's really cool to be able to hear that, and especially on the road, it gives it that home field vibe without it being at home. And it's cool to be able to see that and to be a part of, because we know that Bronco country is going to show up. You always hear about these teams that travel well. It's really cool to be able to know that no matter what city we're in, Broncos country is going to show up, and we're going to have a little home field presence there.
So one other thing I didn't think about, LA traffic.
Ah, yes.
The game kicks at 5:15 LA time.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to get the 105 to the 101 to Pico to Santa Monica Boulevard down to the 405 and get off on
Sepulveda.
Yeah.
No, don't get off on Sepulveda.
No, California. Yeah, man, traffic sucks in LA. And
so if you live in LA, you don't want to add extra traffic to your life.
Thursday night, showing up late, leaving early, it's not going to be a favorable crowd for the Chargers. And the Broncos fans, they don't care about some traffic. They're not going to be deterred because they care about their team, and they're going to plan ahead. They're going to get there early enough to make it in for kickoff. So, it's going to be a favorable atmosphere, definitely, for the Broncos.
It will be. And so then the final thing I want to get to Broncos-wise before we get out of here, and again, tomorrow we're going to have big-time post-game coverage. The Broncos game kicks at 6:15 Mountain Time, 5:15 LA. We got both the Avs and Nugs in action as well. So Liv will be here, you'll be here, Megan will be here. We'll be checking in with me from LA, with Jesse from San Jose, and keeping an eye on all the games. But we'll have you cover the full Broncos postgame.
I'm from San Jose, and those who are from there don't really pronounce the it's just San Jose.
San Jose.
Yeah, not San Jose.
Okay, I was pronouncing like my friend Jose Cuervo.
Jose.
Mi amigo.
San
Jose.
Jose.
It would be San Jose.
It'd be like those are from Toronto. Don't say
They
that.
definitely don't say
it's
the T.
Toronto.
Or like Louisville.
Or Nolans.
Nolans.
New Orleans.
But so we've made plenty of a fuss, a stink, given plenty of attention and love to not one but two Defensive Player of the Year candidates for the Broncos in both Pat Surtain Jr., the best cornerback in football, and Nick Bonito. This is what you can say about Nick Bonito, especially with Aiden Hutchinson's leg broken, unfortunately. I think it's back in line
broken?
now.
Is that how it broke?
It went around somebody else's leg like that. That's not the way it was supposed to go. It would be a mess. So Nick Bonito is the best young pass rusher in the NFL because he's younger than Myles Garrett and TJ Watt, although Jared Verse may have something to say about that. That being said, with all the hype that Nick Bonito is getting on the edge and Jonathan Cooper getting his new deal, and you're excited to see what Drew Sanders can bring. They traded Baron Browning. I think we need to give a quick tip of the proverbial cap to Jonah Ellis. I don't know how many people realize this. Jonah Ellis is second in the NFL amongst rookies. He's tied for second in sacks. I mentioned Jared Verse. He's actually behind him at 4.5. His teammate Braden Fisk leads the league at 6 sacks for rookies. But Jonah Ellis has 5 sacks as a rookie. That's tied with Chop Robinson in Miami. Jared Verse, who does, I think, have the most pressures. has just
Chop Robinson?
4.5 sacks. I'm not sure if Chop's his given name.
Well, it's a
And
good
then
name.
Ellis is tops on the Broncos. He and J.L. Skinner and maybe Devin Key all have 7 tackles. He's getting after it. He's part of that rotation. And I'm sure this doesn't make you feel old at all, but we can go all the way back to the 2004 Broncos yearbook.
Oh.
And there you are, number 14, right in the middle. You and Cortland Sutton, who wore it better. You're right there next to Jake the Snake.
Wow. Right between Jake and Danny Cannell.
You go right straight up from Jake's head to 74 to 94. Big old 94 in the middle. I saw him at the game the other day, actually.
Oh, really? Did you?
I just saw him getting in the elevator.
Yeah.
But
Oh, man.
big Luther Ellis,
How's he doing?
who has 2 ties to the Broncos, not just as a player. He had a great career in Detroit.
Man.
Really, really long career there. Then finishes his career here in 04.
Yeah.
He was back with the team. And so Jonah and his brother Caden, they've got a couple other brothers too that all play football. We're playing prep football here in 2015, the last time the Broncos went to the playoffs and won Super Bowl 50. Luther was the team chaplain that year.
Was he now?
And then he decided to get back into coaching. He's coaching D-line at Utah.
Oh, wow.
So he was here when the
Is he still big? Is he skinny now? Did he lose some
I mean,
weight?
he didn't gain weight.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't call him skinny. He's just big because I saw him I was sitting right behind the Utah bench when they played the Buffs, and he was right there. But
I didn't know that he became the team chaplain. That's pretty cool because he and I used to get into religious conversations in locker rooms. There was a lot of those, and people don't really think that, just a bunch of lug nut football players who just talk football. Now in locker room, we talk politics, we talk religion, we talked all kinds of stuff. Luther Ellis, one of the more thoughtful guys, he and I had quite a few extended conversations about life, about religion, and pretty cool to see that he turned that into something more. And now I'm sure he, imparted a lot of that wisdom on his kids and his boys, and I'm sure that informed their pursuit in the NFL. These guys are playing at a high level at a young age.
And so I don't know how many people realize that about Jonah, how productive he's been. We've certainly seen him make some plays. I think he's made plays in the passing game. He's had to drop into coverage a little bit too. Yeah. He's just around the football. He's a good football player.
Hard to get in the rotation too with Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper going. But, the Baron Browning leaving town that certainly helped him. Yeah, but it says a lot about how they feel about him to allow Baron to go, right? Feeling comfortable parting ways with Baron Browning means that they like Jonah Ellis a lot.
Yeah.
What are you typing? Are you typing an email, dude?
I was just checking something. I was just checking his brother's name, Caden.
Oh, okay, cool.
Caden.
Cool.
Right. So Caden is on the Falcons,
leading tackler,
drafted by Sean Payton and the Saints.
That's
and
right.
Sean was convinced. He told a good story a couple weeks ago before the Falcons game. He was convinced because the Falcons were right in front of him. They really want to take Jonah when they got him. I want to say in the 5th round, and he's like, Atlanta's going to take him. So Atlanta ends up taking a different player. They grabbed Jonah Ellis, and he said he immediately gets a text from his brother. He's like, it's a little too colorful to say here. So I'm guessing it was some sort of FU to coach because you probably want to play with his little brother.
Yeah.
One other thing before we get out of here. We know the Buffs and Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, they're on their swan song, if you will. But they have not let up. Anybody thinks Coach Prime's leaving, and who knows, NFL coaching cycles are weird. I don't think he's going to end up in Vegas or New York or Dallas. I think he's going to stay right here. Not only does he have Juju Lewis coming, not only does he have the top D lineman in the transfer portal leaving Alabama and coming here. Today they just got a quarterback from Liberty who started at Tennessee, Caden Salter. This dude has almost 6,000 passing yards, over 2,000 rushing yards, and 77 touchdowns. So even though Juju's going to come in, this is clearly bolstering what they're going to do. And
maybe that Juju, learns behind him for a year. Is Juju going to be ready as a freshman?
Or maybe you're just kind of rotating them to let them work it out on if someone's not a clear-cut starter.
Yeah.
But either way, because as I think we pointed out, Juju is, if we did the math right, might be skipping his senior year of high school, like reclassifying.
How does that work?
If you have enough credits, and you're old enough.
But why not just finish freaking high school? Why you got to leave high school?
NIL in college pays a lot more than NIL in high school.
I know, man. Just don't rush through your childhood, guys.
I hear you.
Be a kid. While you can be a kid, that money's going to wait for you. But now, the old conversation was leaving college early for the NFL, but now you're leaving high school early for college. At what point are these kids going to be leaving middle school early to get to high school?
Or Doogie Howser in it and leaving middle school and going right to college to play for the Bucs.
How would you feel if Doogie Howser walked in and was your surgeon at 16? Would you feel comfortable as the anesthesia started to take hold and Doogie walked up to you?
I
And
think
his
it's-
voice cracked because he hadn't hit puberty yet. Anyone out there not heard of Doogie Howser, MD? Google it. One of the best
Yeah, Liv.
sitcoms.
Yeah, this is
of
where
the-
we
yeah,
live
Liv.
to just
If
roll
you're
our
watching
eyes.
right now, she's like, dinosaurs. All of you.
Two guys were such a great show in our childhood. We're like,
Yeah.
and how crazy that'd be to be
Yeah,
a
I can do
doctor.
that. Can I do that,
But I
Mom?
did-
Can I be a doctor
Yeah,
at 16?
Mom's like, you don't know what 9 + 8 is. I'm like, it's around 15. I don't know.
No, but I'll say about Coach Prime, I did read that he said he wants to be here. He wants to finish his coaching career.
I saw that.
He wants to see his name on the mountains.
Yeah, he told Pac-Man that, and more power to him. With the state of college football, and we know Boise getting into the playoff this year, Indiana getting into the playoff this year, SMU getting into the playoff this year. This ain't the good old boys playoff anymore, or the true blue bloods that it's been for the most part, with apologies to schools like TCU, where it's Bama, Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, even Washington. No, Boise can get in. Colorado certainly. I mean, Colorado was a weird Houston fumble away from them perhaps taking the lead and beating BYU, from the Buffs being in the Big 12 title game against Arizona State. Arizona State's in the playoff.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the point. We know the autonomy that Prime has in Boulder and the freedom he's able to bring kids in, the NIL budget. We find out this week from Deion Jr. that Travis Hunter not only doesn't take money from the NIL, he's one of the biggest contributors to it and takes care of about 10 to 15 of his
What does that
teammates.
even mean? That he puts money into it?
Just like me.
Where does he get it?
From his own NIL deals, Buffalo Wild Wings, and his streaming stuff and his podcast.
Oh, yeah, he gets paid to play video games.
He gets paid to play video games, and then he gives some
Take
of
that, Doogie
money.
Howser.
Yeah, see, you're busy learning how to,
I want to be a video game
repair
player.
it or does. Yeah, you don't have
See,
to
I
leave
used
your
to play
house.
Contra on Nintendo and
You get that-
Mike
you get
Tyson's
that-
Punch
You
Out.
get that code on Contra?
Up, down, left, right, BA start, unless it's a 2-player, and then it's
Select.
select start. But I bet you don't know the Mike Tyson Punch Out code.
The one to jump you all the
The
way
one
to
to
the end.
fight Mike
Yeah.
Tyson.
What was it again?
007-373-5963. I beat the shit out of Mike Tyson enough times that I beat the crap out of Mike
We actually have
Tyson.
a Mike Tyson punch-out autographed frame photo.
You just got to time it. It's all about timing,
Yeah.
man. And
You can beat
if someone had paid me to do that, well, I might not be sitting here today.
No, you're a real-life Glass Joe.
That's right.
I think that's going to do it for us. I guess I didn't finish that thought on Prime though. He's got everything he needs rolling up there.
Yeah,
and it's going to be fun to watch because the Buffs will be in the playoffs sooner probably than later. And with this transfer from
How do you know
quarterback-
that, though? We don't know that. You're losing two of the best players this program's ever seen.
You are, but
You're hoping to recapture that juice, but
Well,
that was magic, what we just witnessed
no
in Boulder.
question. But they're just getting, I think, more good players. They're getting another kid from IMG. They're getting this kid from Alabama transferring. All these other skill players are coming. I think they're seeing the fruits of what Coach Prime and not only his close, his kids and Travis Hunter, but his coaching staff and what the program is. And I mean, shoot, they're on TV every week. It reminds me of when you and I were kids in the Buffs with Big Al and Cordell Stewart and go through that list, right? Eric Bieniemy, just go on down.
Yeah.
Chad Brown, our pal.
Yep.
They were on TV every week. The great Rashawn Salam. It was awesome. And so it's fun to have that going on our state. And it's cool to see CSU bowl game, even though next Saturday, head to head with Broncos and Bengals. Not great timing there. Either way, that's going to do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow night for a mega Broncos postgame. I'll be checking in pregame and during and throughout the game as well from SoFi there in LA, the house that Stan Kroenke built. And for Nate Jackson, I'm Brandon Krisztal, coming to you from our trusted American Mortgage Studios for Guerrilla Sports Off Field. Adios.